on 76ers Insider. The next step. This is the man who will be at the forefront of making the decisions on what the Sixers' next step or steps will be. Coming up, a conversation with Jim Lynam on the future of the 76ers.
And we'll meet the man who's already taken the next step. I'm John Slobodkin. From player to assistant to head coach of the 76ers, a visit with the Mad Dog, Fred Carter.
And this is the player whose next step just might be NBA stardom. I'm Tony Irving. And to start you off this month, the excitement over Clarence Weatherspoon.
I found out that Clarence Weatherspoon can really be a great player.
It's the May edition of 76ers Insider. I'm your host, John Gurovich. Stay with us.
How would you like to become a part of the 76ers 1993-94 upcoming season? On Monday, June 14th at 6 p.m., the Sixers will be holding tryouts for the Dream Team. All girls 18 and older, come out to the Spectrum. You may become a part of the Sixers live action. For more information, call 339-7600. That's 339-7600.
From the director of The Mission and The Killing Fields.
Why did you come here, Max?
I came to find enlightenment.
What is it that you do in America?
I was a doctor.
We desperately need a doctor here full-time.
Don't try to recruit me. You got your non-practicing Catholics? I'm a non-practicing doctor.
Patrick Swayze.
You want to change things, you have to risk.
In an epic motion picture.
Never felt more alive.
City of Joy.
Okay, welcome to the May edition of 76ers Insider. Now that the 92-93 season is over, the big question and our theme this month is, what's next? And in our show here this time, we will lay out for you the things to keep an eye out for. Let's get things rolling now with the Comcast Metrophone Insider Quiz. The thing everyone would like to see next is a big jump in the Sixers' number of wins next year. The team with the biggest improvement this season was the Orlando Magic. The team with the biggest improvement in NBA history was the 89-90 San Antonio Spurs.
What we want to test you on is the most improved team in Sixers history. Who knows, maybe it'll turn out to be next year's team. As of now, though, it's the club that won 16 games more than the Sixers of the previous year. So this month's quiz is, in what season did the Sixers have their biggest increase in wins?
The answers to the Comcast Metrophone Insider Quiz coming up later in this half hour. Comcast Metrophone is the market leader in cellular technology. Well, one player you could just about count on for next year is Clarence Weatherspoon. What's next for him? Tony Irving reports now, the sky's the limit.
In the beginning, there was only anticipation of what he might do. Could Clarence Weatherspoon justify his selection as the 9th pick of the draft? Would he survive an 82-game schedule? Would he stand his ground and not be intimidated by the NBA's top guns?
Inside Weatherspoon, turns on Larry Johnson and fills it up.
Young guy, gonna be around for a long time and gonna really improve. He's gonna get better with age and really improve. So I think that he's gonna be an all-star in this league.
Wow. So there you have it from Larry Johnson, last season's Rookie of the Year. Clarence Weatherspoon has a fine future with all-star potential. Forgetting his physical talents for a moment, Weatherspoon had the right attitude from the moment he signed his contract. He was not impressed with anyone's resume. He didn't care if you were a perennial all-star or one of the league's talented big men. Spoon was bringing his game in your face every night, and you would have to stop it.
Now Spoon against Long off the dribble, lay it up, yes!
He's had to fill in some big shoes, but the main thing is that he's playing consistent. He comes out and he plays hard, so that's the biggest thing for young guys when they come in the league is to play hard consistently.
Spoon's consistency was augmented by his durability. He played in all 82 games, averaging 32 minutes. He finished third on the team in steals and blocks and led the team in rebounding. As a small forward, Spoon made a good accounting of himself with averages of 15 points and 7 rebounds. He had the typical rookie problem of adjusting to NBA defense, but by season's end, Coach Fred Carter was more than satisfied.
He kind of got his, you know, he had his work cut off for him guarding Larry Johnson, but I see Larry did have 14 rebounds, but they basically, Clarence 12 for 18, Larry's 10 for 14. They played to a standstill. That's pretty damn good for a rookie coming out of a little small college. So I look at him being a heck of a player.
Oh, Clarence is tough. A good, young, strong, tough post player, and he's going to be around for a good while.
There were so many comparisons made between he and Barkley. You know, when he came in physically, they kind of, you know, have the same bodies and, you know, love to play inside, love to bang people. And so it was tough for him at first, but I think he's weathered the storm real well, established his own identity.
From day one, Clarence Weatherspoon was most often compared to Charles Barkley. But let's be honest, that's not fair to either player. But his teammates did appreciate the maturity he displayed as a rookie.
He really has. Spoon's one of the few rookies I've ever seen come in here with the confidence and the demeanor to seem as if he's played in this league for a number of years, which is to his credit.
He handles himself well. He's quiet. He's well-mannered. He don't talk trash on the court. He just goes out and plays hard.
Don't talk period.
Well, right. He just goes out and gets it done, and that's good. You know, Shaquille, he does a little sometimes showtime, not verbally, just after he dunks on you, he looks at you. Spoon doesn't do that, and Alonzo Mournings, but you could, Spoon, he's up there with those guys. You know, obviously them two guys probably the best two rookies in the league, but Spoon's not too far behind.
Barkley in the post. Barkley against Weatherspoon. Charles spinning inside.
And really, his game's a lot different. His game's a lot different. But it is a big-time basketball game, and he's only going to get better. And, you know, I think he's certainly positioned himself to become a star in the NBA.
Clarence jumps a little bit higher. His post game is a little bit better than Charles. I think Charles used his body a lot rather than a post move. I think Clarence has some skills in the post.
I think he had a good rookie season. I think he's a guy that can score the ball on the box, and he kind of plays like Barkley, but not to that level. But he's kind of in the line of Barkley.
So after a promising rookie season, what's next for Clarence Weatherspoon? Well, he'll have to improve. He'll have to improve with the jump shot from distance, and also try to add the element of dribble penetration to his game.
Just because he has so much, you know, raw talent coming out, and he's been able to average 15 points in his game without even getting any moves down pat yet. So in the future, he's going to be real tough.
Because he has those big old strong legs, he bangs you and knocks you off balance, and just to get his shot. Him and Armin got like the same kind of moves, but Clarence, like, he uses his body a little bit more than Armin.
He could hit some more outside jump shots, but I like his post-up play more than the jump shots. If he got the outside shot, that would open up the drive for him, so that's something that could help him.
Well, I think he's one of the fine young players, you know, in this league. I don't think there's any doubt. He's had a full season under his belt. You know, he's worked extremely hard, from what I understand, to be a hell of a player, and he's that. So he's got a great future ahead of him. I think when they made the trade for Charles and drafted Clarence, that they got a player that's similar to him, and he's got a huge upside. He really does.
Yes, the season is over, but that does not mean Travel One is letting up. The Sixers have all sorts of scouting trips and meetings and tryout schedules, and Travel One, of course, is handling all of the arrangements, even some of our vacations. Put Travel One to work for you this summer.
I took diet pills. I lost 34 pounds.
6 months later, the weight came back.
That's when I decided to get off the diet roller coaster and get on a Nordic Track.
In fact, Nordic Track is so easy to stick with that after 5 years, 7 out of 10 Nordic Track owners still use their Nordic Track skiers an average of 3 times a week.
It's been more than 2 years. The weight's still off, and I'm still on my Nordic Track. You should give Nordic Track a try.
Call now for a free video and brochure. Take weight off and keep it off. Nordic Track introduces the Weight Loss Satisfaction Guarantee. Research shows that Nordic Track's total body workout burns more calories than exercisers that only work your legs. Discover what numerous customers have found. With regular exercise on Nordic Track, you can take weight off and keep it off. And we're so confident you'll lose weight too, we guarantee it. We'll guarantee that you'll lose at least 10 pounds in 60 days or your money back. Call now for a free video and brochure. Ask about our 60-day weight loss satisfaction guarantee.
You didn't really have too many bright spots in the 92-93 Sixers season, but you did have some. And right now in our Insider Chronicle segment, we take a look at a few good things.
Mark down Clarence Weatherspoon as a positive. The rookie first-round draft choice averaged 15.6 points a game, setting a Sixers record for scoring by a rookie. The backcourt combination of Hersey Hawkins and Jeff Hornacek turned out to be one of the most prolific scoring guard tandems the Sixers have ever had. Hersey and Jeff combined to score more than 3,100 points. And the only other pair of Sixers guards who've ever scored more in one season were Hal Greer and Archie Clark more than 20 years ago. Also, Hersey delivered 122 three-pointers, the most ever for a 76er. As a team, the 92-93 Sixers established a new all-time club record for three-pointers, 326, and that was the fifth most in the NBA this past season. This year's club also shot very well from the foul line, hitting 78.6%, and that was the fifth best ever for a Sixers club and the third best in the league this year. And the 92-93 Sixers also blocked a lot of shots, 569, the seventh highest figure in Sixers history, and believe it or not, more than any other club in the NBA this year. Memorable moments? I don't know if this counts as a highlight, but who can forget Manute Bol cranking in 6 threes at Phoenix on March 3rd? The top scoring game for the Sixers this year was the 40-point performance by Hersey Hawkins on April 10th, which also included 6 three-pointers. And the most exciting victories, the 2 wins over Chicago. On the road on December 19th, a dramatic 98-96 upset, and then at the Spectrum on January 9th, a 104-91 victory.
Well, certainly one of the major events during the course of the season was the appointment of Fred Carter as coach in place of Doug Moe. Sometime very soon, you can expect a decision on his status for next season. In the meantime, John Slobodkin paid Fred Carter a visit.
Welcome to another night in the audition of 76ers head coach Fred Carter. While the team's disappointing fate has already been sealed, the judgment on Carter continues. 6 weeks may seem like a short trial, but for Carter, it's just fine. He is a basketball opportunist. Just give him a chance, and he'll make an impression, like the one he left on teammate Ray Scott, his first day in the NBA.
My rookie year with the Bullets, Gene Shue, of course now our director of player personnel, was the head coach then, and he used to have a suicide drill where one guy would defend against every player on the team. It's called defend the line. So it was my opportunity to defend the line, and it got to a point, I'm trying to make the ball club, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to make the team. So when I'm defending the line, I made up my mind that no one was going to score. So I kicked, bite, scratch, or whatever it took. And when it was Ray's turn, he came down, and I mauled him good. And he went back to the end of the line and said, boy, that guy's worse than a mad dog, and that name stuck.
A point producer earning a reputation as a defender, a winner on a team synonymous with losing, a would-be NBA coach starting at the Division II college level, coaching women. These are the trademarks of Mad Dog Fred Carter. Defense may have brought Carter into the league, but it was offense which kept him there. He creatively filled the basket for 8 seasons, 5 of which were spent as a 76er. 2 decades ago, he was part of that infamous 9-73 team. But for Carter, it was a springboard. He averaged over 20 points a game for the next 4 seasons and served the Sixers as a building block toward respectability. He had clearly made the best out of literally the worst. In the twilight of his career, Carter says he began to see the game from a coach's perspective. His first taste came back at his alma mater, Mount St. Mary's, where he took charge of the women's program.
I walked in and, gung-ho, enthusiasm, ready to coach the ladies, and I mentioned backdoor, and they all turned around and looked for a backdoor because they didn't understand that jargon. And I mentioned weave, and they didn't understand what a weave was. I guess they were ready to get out their knitting needles and weave because at that time, basketball wasn't quite that open. But what it did for me was it gave me an opportunity to begin to utilize my skills as a teacher. And I began to teach the girls how to play basketball.
His teaching ability made him a natural NBA assistant. He served with former teammate Kevin Lockery before joining the Sixers in 1987. All told, Carter spent 12 years waiting for his chance, gleaning coaching philosophies from the likes of Pat Riley and Don Nelson, preparing for his time. It appeared Carter's time had come last June as the winds of change swirled throughout the organization. The general manager, coach, players, and style of game were altered, but Fred Carter would remain a constant.
Divac puts it on the hands of Worthy. Back to Divac. It's going to be Worthy. 3-point. Got it.
But during a dismal West Coast trip, the running game had run out of time. On March 7th, Doug Moe was fired, and Carter was given the rest of the season to restore order. Like a sudden burst of life, Carter's frenetic sideline style seemed to energize his squad. Despite the refreshing effort, though, the wins remained elusive. After a difficult defeat at New Jersey, Carter turned to his players for an answer and found faith in himself.
And I said to the players, I said, fellas, you know, when are we going to get a win? And the guy says, Coach, we'll get one tonight in Boston. They said, Coach. When they said, Coach, we'll get one tonight in Boston, that made me feel like a coach. They came out there and gave such a tremendous effort of competing. And meanwhile, we're without Jeff Hornacek. And they're out on the floor competing right down to the end. And Boston's up, I think, 1, and they shoot and miss, and they get a rebound. We have to foul them to get possession in the last, I guess, 15, 20 seconds of the ball game. And we lose a tough one. That told me right then, that when those players came back after the loss in New Jersey and then fly up to Boston, get in, and they're dead tired, they're exhausted from the trapping the whole game, for them to give that effort again, where we have nowhere to go with the season. The season's over. The season's been over. Probably long before the game, the last 26, the season was over. But these guys to come back and rally and give that effort there, that made me feel then that I was an NBA head coach.
Sifting victory from defeat. That is the essence of Fred Carter. The trial is over with the mere 7 wins. But for Carter, it was the taste he needed to make him hunger for more. And while rebuilding this once proud franchise will not be easy, it is a task worthy of the desire of a mad dog.
I've always been of the mindset that I would not be denied, or that I would not be defeated, and that I would outwork the opposition. And so those things for me are never going to be a burden that will be too heavy for me to hold up or carry. I have to just keep that stiff upper lip and let's plug forward, go get it. And that's been my feeling, so that's something I can't change. That's just a part of me.
When we come back, a look at what's next for the Sixers roster.
The draft will indicate, you know, in large measure, like the direction that we have to go as we try to retool this thing.
If you've built up your frequent flyer miles, let Travel One help you plan the land arrangements. Enjoy the best values and upgraded accommodations to exciting destinations like Hawaii or wherever. Just call 800-722-5450. How would you like to become a part of the 76ers 1993-94 upcoming season? On Monday, June 14th at 6 p.m., the Sixers will be holding tryouts for the Dream Team. All girls 18 and older come out to the Spectrum, and you may become a part of the Sixers live action. For more information, call 339-7600. That's 339-7600.
Still to come on Sixers Insider, our discussion with Jim Lynam and the answers to the Insider quiz. Right now, though, Insider Outsider, the segment featuring someone from outside the Sixers organization. This month, it's Jack Ramsay, who's not exactly an outsider, having been a Sixers coach and general manager in the past. And the question is about a formula for building a winning team.
It's always been my contention that you need 3 outstanding players to have an outstanding team. A championship team always has 3 great players. And to get 3 great players, you've got to do some maneuvering.
There was a time when one of the great players had to be a center. There was a time in the NBA when you had to have a dominant center. Maybe now, as long as you have 3 great players, you don't necessarily need the dominant center?
You can win without a dominant center, but it's much easier to win with one. Mm-hmm. Detroit proved that you can win without a shot-blocking center, but a guy who can rebound, play good defense for you, very good team defense, and a guy who can shoot it from somewhere on the floor. Not a post-up guy, but Bill Laimbeer was certainly an offensive threat from the edges.
Jack, last thing, and that would be, is patience a necessity? Turning it around cannot be done immediately unless you get a Shaquille O'Neal or a Michael Jordan, a great player right away.
Well, even with those players. Now, it's possible Orlando will not make the playoffs. At this point, they are not in the playoffs. As we speak, they are not in the playoffs. Michael Jordan did not win a championship at Chicago until his 7th year in the league. So even the great players need that help around them to have the really solid team that is a contending team.
Okay, the man who is at the focal point right now in getting the Sixers back on the right track is, of course, General Manager Jim Lynam. He and Harold Katz are working on reshaping the Sixers roster. So right now, let's take a look at some of the options they have and some of a discussion I had with Jim Lynam.
Well, if there were one general thought, John, it would be that we would like to upgrade the caliber of our talent, that we understand and realize that we're deficient in a number of areas. And if we're going to turn this thing around and be able to compete on a consistent basis, we have to address, some or all these needs.
A lot of personnel decisions face Jim Lynam as we head into the offseason. Okay, the first thing that'll happen is the lottery to determine where the Sixers draft. That will be May 23rd, then the draft itself will be June 30th.
The draft will indicate, in large measure, like the direction that we have to go as we try to retool this thing. Because you know what you're going to be able to acquire in terms of a position player by the draft. And I think you have a very, very good feel, if not on the day of the lottery, then shortly thereafter.
This is what the Sixers would probably be looking at if one of their ping pong balls came up and they got one of the top 3 picks. Now, most NBA general managers right now think Bradley will be number 1. There's no clear agreement on which of the others would go next, but the thinking is in some order, Hardaway, Mashburn, and Weber would be the next 3 picks. Now, if the Sixers do not get a ping pong ball, they will have the number 5 or 6 pick or a possibility of even 7 or 8. These are the players being mentioned around the league for those 3 slots right now, although again, there's no consensus on what order they would go in. All quality players, but probably less attractive than anyone in that first group. Now, one other thing to remember about the draft, there have been many good players drafted early in the 2nd round. Dennis Rodman in '86, Cliff Robinson in '89, Mo Cheeks back in '78, and the Sixers this year have a pick early in the 2nd round at number 32 overall.
We think we've seen a lot of players that would have an interest in. Again, you're subject a little bit to the whim of those in front of you. But having said that, there will be a good prospect available at 32.
In the meantime, management will be taking a long, hard look at the current roster. Now, first of all, only 5 players are under contract right now for next season. Everyone else is a free agent. In the case of Charles Shackelford and Eddie Lee Wilkins, it seems very unlikely right now that either one would be re-signed. With the remaining players, it's not so simple. It is safe to say the Sixers would like to keep Andrew Lang, but don't necessarily write off any of the others. That all depends on how other factors pan out.
I think you have to understand that you have, let's say, contingency plans, that you might have a first choice that you'd like to pursue maybe as a free agent, or maybe say we'd like a big guy in the draft, but you don't have that pick, and therefore you have to go in a different direction. So you have to prepare for several eventualities.
Many of which will be determined by what new free agents the Sixers can bring in. Now, these are only very partial lists, some of the players who could be available at the positions the Sixers might be interested in. And keep in mind, with a restricted free agent, the player's current team can match any offer he gets and keep that player. This list, Chris Dudley, figures to attract a lot of interest because it's so difficult to find even adequate players at the center position. This list, Danny Manning is an all-star and could be available even though he is restricted, although he would be very difficult to sign. Charles Smith is intriguing, and he is unrestricted.
If you want the rumor is that the Knicks like Charles Smith, who are his current team, and somewhere between now and the end of the season, he'll sign a long-term deal with New York. It would be foolhardy at this point, like to bank on something, because you don't know that teams, when that deadline starts approaching, teams frequently will sweeten the pot if they want a particular player to stay. So it's a little bit of a guessing game and maybe a little bit of a poker game as well.
The one remaining option is to make a trade, perhaps dealing either Jeff Hornacek or Hersey Hawkins. But that's not something the Sixers feel they have to do.
No, I don't think we have to. But in saying that, I don't want to preclude the possibility. At this stage, I mean, we can't be locked into, you know, like any specific mode or like untouchable players or what have you. We have to do what we need to improve this team and to acquire more talent. So I thought actually as the back part of the year unfolded, I thought they played pretty well together.
Bottom line for Jim Lynam is this will be an off-season of difficult decisions and tricky maneuvering. With a little bit of luck, though, I don't think it's far-fetched to say the Sixers could be a winner again by the time next year rolls around.
Well, that would be my hope, John, and I think the progress that we'll be able to make through this summer in acquiring, you know, newfound talent will, in large measure, say just how far we can go initially. And some of that will be related to the luck of the lottery. You said it earlier, and I don't disagree, that those, say, first, well, there are 3 or 4 picks, and then, you know, then a little gap. Well, that's what happens. The further you get down in the draft, the more little gaps you have to start hurdling to get to your player.
Okay, up next, the answers to the Comcast Metrophone Insider Quiz. This month's program is sponsored by Travel One, the official travel agency of the 76ers, with offices throughout the Delaware Valley for all your business and vacation travel needs. Travel One guarantees you the lowest fares, the highest level of service, and no surprises.
Jean-Claude Van Damme always makes an impact. Now, get ready for Van Damme ×2, double impact. Now it'll take both of them. Express service.
That's what I love about you.
To handle one of her.
Please fasten your seatbelt.
Double impact.
Time now for the answers to the Comcast Metrophone Insider Quiz. Wondering earlier if the next step for the Sixers could possibly, maybe, include a big jump in the number of wins next year. Biggest improvement in the league this year was by Orlando. Biggest in NBA history was by the 89-90 San Antonio Spurs. Our question was, in what season did the Sixers have their biggest increase in wins? And we told you that club won 16 games more than the Sixers of the previous year. The answer is the 73-74 season. It was Gene Shue's first year as coach of the Sixers, and the club only won 25 games that season, but that was 16 more than the 9 games the Sixers won during their infamous 72-73 campaign. Doug Collins was a rookie on the 73-74 team, but played in only 25 games. The most significant addition was Steve Mix, and the scoring leader was Fred Carter. Okay, back with another edition of the Comcast Metrophone Insider Quiz next month. Comcast Metrophone is the market leader in cellular technology. We are going to do one more Sixers Insider this year, a June edition, as things really start to fall into place with the draft and beyond. As for this month, we're glad you had a chance to watch. 76ers Insider is brought to you in part by Nordic Track, the great way to get in shape for men and women. Call for your brochure and video right now, 1-800-358-0406.